I'm Ruth.
And I'm Darren.
Of the Rad Adventures Network.
And welcome to Convention Correspondents.
In this series, we talk about conventions we've attended and share our thoughts about the events.
The episodes in this series are short summary-level overviews to give you an idea of what an event is like and what we enjoyed about the convention.
Today, we're talking about ERB Con, which was recently held in Raleigh, North Carolina.
ERB Con is short for the Edgar Rice Burroughs Convention, and Burroughs' name is often abbreviated as ERB.
The convention is held in different locations each year, and we were very happy that it was nearby for us so that we had a chance to attend it this year.
We're going to provide a brief history of the convention and talk about the many panels and activities at the event.
Convention Correspondents is part of the Rad Adventures Network.
If you enjoy the show, please consider checking out our other shows that are available through most podcast apps, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music, as well as YouTube.
Trekker Talk covers the adventures of 23rd century bounty hunter Mercy St. Clair from the sci-fi comic Trekker by writer and artist Ron Randall.
Xenozoic Xenophiles covers the adventures of Xenozoic Tales, featuring Cadillacs and dinosaurs by writer and artist Mark Schultz.
And Warlord Worlds is devoted to the comic creations of writer and artist Mike Grell, including The Warlord, John Sable, and Green Arrow.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll be right back with our thoughts about ERB Con right after this promo from another podcast you might enjoy.
According to the latest report from FalsifiedStats.com, there are currently 12 million active comic book podcasts clogging up the internet superhighway, and 2.3 million new comic book podcasts are being created every single day. If you're looking for something a little different, then let me tell you about Mike's Comic Shop Roadshow. Mike travels the globe and visits comic shops along the way, talking to the owners, or really just whomever happens to be minding the store that day. And it's through these conversations that you'll meet some wonderful people and learn how comic shops are run in places like Murfreesboro, Illinois, and Liverpool, New South Wales, Australia. So check out Mike's Comic Shop Roadshow, a truly unique comic book podcast among billions of the same old, same old. Find it now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Mike, and I approve this message.
ERB Con is the annual convention of the Burroughs Bibliophiles. The Burroughs Bibliophiles was founded in 1960 and is a nonprofit literary and educational society devoted to the writings and life of author Edgar Rice Burroughs.
The Bibliophiles have members around the world, which are divided into several regional chapters. The group publishes a journal titled the Burroughs Bulletin, as well as a monthly newsletter. In addition, the group has a website, a Facebook page, and a YouTube channel. So just search for the Burroughs Bibliophiles if you want to learn more about the group.
The convention is hosted each year by one of the regional chapters of the Burroughs Bibliophiles, and therefore it can be held in different locations from year to year. This year's event was hosted by the Carolina Calots, which is a regional chapter of the Burroughs Bibliophiles covering North and South Carolina.
We first learned about the Burroughs Bibliophiles and the annual convention from our good friend Brian Mulvey, who has attended the event in the past when it's been held on the West Coast near him.
We've wanted to attend for quite a while, but haven't had the chance, so it was perfect that this year's event was held near us.
There's another Burroughs-related event called ERB Fest, which is part of Pulp Fest that is held in Mars, Pennsylvania each year. That event's on our wish list, and we hope to attend it soon.
Before we talk further about the event, we should discuss Edgar Rice Burroughs, who was born in 1875.
After several unsuccessful attempts in the business world, Burroughs began writing in his spare time and received encouraging feedback on some early drafts in 1911. It was the era of the pulp magazines, where stories were initially serialized in magazines and later completed stories were collected into novels. Burroughs found great success in 1912, publishing the first stories in 2 of his most successful series.
The first chapter of A Princess of Mars debuted in All-Star Story magazine in February 1912 as Under the Moons of Mars. This was the first book in the Mars series featuring John Carter and Deja Thoris. And later that same year, the first chapter of Tarzan of the Apes was serialized in October 1912 in All-Star Story magazine.
While the pulp era was already in progress, Edgar Rice Burroughs would come to define that era of fiction in the early and mid-1900s. He blended fast-paced action stories with exotic locations and lost worlds, and mixed it all with romance that appealed to both men and women. His larger-than-life characters became the blueprint for modern action heroes, and his writing established the Sword and Planet subgenre about distant planets that influenced the sci-fi space operas that are so popular today.
Burroughs quickly became one of the most widely read and influential authors of the time. He was a master of using cliffhanger endings at the end of chapters to get readers to come back for the next installment in his serialized stories, and he would sometimes end his novels with cliffhanger endings to ensure the audience came back for the next adventure.
Burroughs was a prolific writer and published more than 70 novels before he passed away in 1950. Tarzan is certainly his most successful character, and Burroughs wrote 24 novels about the Lord of the Jungle, following the character from childhood to adulthood. The Tarzan novels cover a wide variety of genres, including jungle adventures, his struggles to fit into modern society, espionage stories where he works as a spy, and fantasy adventures where he discovers lost worlds and forgotten civilizations. And mixed in with all of these adventures is the romance story of Tarzan and Jane, and their marriage and their family. The character of Tarzan quickly became a cultural phenomenon and spawned films, radio and television programs, and comics.
The Barsoom series, also known as the Mars series, consists of 11 novels and follows the adventures of 19th century soldier John Carter, who is mysteriously transported to Mars, where he meets the Martian princess Dejah Thoris. The action-packed books follow the two heroes through many adventures, and the later books focus on stories about their children. The 2012 movie, John Carter of Mars, is an adaptation of the first book in the series. We thoroughly enjoy that movie and wish it had been more successful so they would have adapted the second and third books as originally planned.
The Pellucidar series consists of 7 books, starting with At the Earth's Core. The series is about a prehistoric underground world filled with dinosaurs and ruled by intelligent flying reptiles. The 1976 movie At the Earth's Core, directed by Kevin Connor and starring Doug McClure and Peter Cushing, is an adaptation of the first novel.
The Caspak trilogy is a mythical world near Antarctica that appears to be a frozen island surrounded by tall cliffs of ice, but within the cliffs is a warm, tropical lost world. The first 2 books, The Land That Time Forgot and The People That Time Forgot, were adapted as films in 1974 and 1977, starring Doug McClure. Both movies were directed by Kevin Connor, who also directed At the Earth's Core.
The Amtor series, also known as the Venus series, or Carson of Venus, is a series of 5 books that follow the adventures of Carson Napier, who is a man from Earth who crash lands his spaceship on the cloud-covered planet Venus, where he encounters strange monsters, warring kingdoms, flying airships, and a beautiful princess.
The Moon Trilogy is a dark dystopian series about the first spaceship to the moon that discovers a hollow world filled with advanced cities and flying people who then travel to and conquer the Earth.
And now that we've provided a little information about Edgar Rice Burroughs and the many fictional worlds he created, let's talk about ERB Con.
This year's convention was held from June 25th through 28th. Starting on that Thursday evening with early registration and a video room showing classic movies, cartoons, and shorts before getting fully underway on Friday. While the event was relatively small, it was packed with so much to do that any fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs would be delighted with the number of activities, along with the welcoming nature of the host and the opportunity for friendly conversations with the many fans at the con.
Most of the activities were held in the main room, called Greater Helium, while the art show was held in a smaller room called Lesser Helium.
Of course, fans will know both of those references from the Mars books that feature the cities of Greater Helium and Lesser Helium.
Greater Helium was set up with a podium and screen at the front of the room for presentations and had the expected rows of seats for the many attendees. Along the other 3 sides of the main room were vendors' tables with classic collectibles, new editions of Burroughs books, original art, and original books. That was a great setup that made it convenient for attendees to sit down and enjoy the many excellent discussion panels and then easily browse the terrific merchandise between panels. It was all very well organized.
There were many excellent discussion panels throughout the weekend conducted by the hosts from the Carolina Calots as well as other members of the Burroughs Bibliophiles.
Following a welcome and introduction, the event kicked off with the panel All Fun and Games, which was a terrific discussion about games based on the works of Burroughs. The panel covered 5 categories of games, including card games, board games, war games, role-playing games, and video games, and was hosted by John Hood.
David Hardy and Bob Miller hosted a tribute to Tarzan actor Gordon Scott, who played the character in 6 movies from 1955 through 1960. His films included Tarzan's Greatest Adventure and Tarzan the Magnificent, which are both considered to be 2 of the best Tarzan movies. It was a perfect presentation to celebrate the actor on the 100th anniversary of his birthday.
John Hood hosted a panel on pulp-era writers and artists with ties to the Carolinas, including writers William Sidney Porter, also known as O. Henry, Paul Linebarger, also known as Cordwainer Smith, and Manly Wade Wellman, along with artists Frederick Whitten, Herman Vestal, and Murphy Anderson.
Pat Quilter hosted an awesome panel on the influence of Edgar Rice Burroughs' works on the Avatar movies directed by James Cameron. The panel features specific examples connecting the modern-day movies with the Mars, Venus, and Pellucidar books, and Pat included lots of photos and videos for reference. As fans of Burroughs' stories and the Avatar movies, we thoroughly enjoyed the presentation and talked to Pat about it afterwards.
Another great panel by John Hood discussed the storytelling influence of Burroughs on other popular franchises, including Dune, Star Wars, Superman, and Jurassic Park. It was very interesting to learn that Frank Herbert originally wanted to set his Dune series on Mars because of being an avid reader of the John Carter series, but he later changed his mind about that before the book was published.
Another excellent panel featured Don Hobart, Mitch Cox, and Lena Espbold, discussing love, romance, and relationships in Edgar Rice Burroughs' books. It was a thorough and academic-level discussion of the mainstream appeal of his books and why Burroughs' stories were so popular with women as well as men.
The final panel of the convention was about visual storytelling and featured writer Roy Thomas and artists Dan Parsons and Richard Cox, who have all worked professionally on Burroughs' stories and adaptations.
There were so many amazing discussion panels at the event, and we want to thank all of those involved for the many excellent presentations. In addition to the many excellent panels, there were lots of other great activities at the convention.
The big event of the weekend was the Saturday night banquet and award ceremony, which featured the presentation of the Golden Lion Award to writer and convention guest of honor Roy Thomas. The Golden Lion Award is presented by the Burroughs Bibliophiles and recognizes individuals for their contributions to the works of Edgar Rice Burroughs. We were lucky to previously see the presentation of the Golden Lion Award to the amazing artist William Stout at Heroes Con a couple of years ago. It was so wonderful to be there to see how much the award meant to him.
This year's winner was Roy Thomas, who is an award-winning writer and former editor at Marvel Comics. He has written Tarzan and John Carter comics, as well as many other comics, including X-Men, The Avengers, Ghost Rider, and Wonder Woman, as well as writing for television and film, including Thundar the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Adventurer, and Xena, Warrior Princess.
One of our favorite things at the event was Bob Miller's display of costumes from Disney's John Carter of Mars movie from 2012. We're fans of that movie, and it was terrific to see the costumes up close so we could see all of the excellent detail. They were gorgeous.
Also, several of the hosts and other participants performed a live reenactment of 2 episodes of the Tarzan radio series from the 1950s, and that was great fun.
Sunday was all about gaming. No panels were scheduled, and instead, many of the Burroughs-related games mentioned in panels during the weekend were available for fans to play, including the classic John Carter Warlord of Mars board game from 1979.
Also available was Catan, which is Martian chess, as well as the Edgar Rice Burroughs Legends set for the Overpower trading card game.
2 Burroughs-themed game scenarios were available from the Fantastic Worlds miniature role-playing game. We really enjoyed watching several members of the Carolina Calots playing Tarzan and the Submariners from Fantastic Worlds.
Having a gaming day was a great way to end the event.
We'll wrap up our discussion with the art show that was held in Lesser Helium during the weekend.
The art show was generally open for an hour each day and featured so many amazing works of art that we visited it twice during the weekend.
It was definitely a highlight to see the many original pieces of art by Russ Manning. There was everything from art that he drew as a teenager to later published works. We particularly enjoyed seeing a completed Tarzan comic strip, along with the early development sketches and the color guide for newspapers to use for printing.
There were also gorgeous original works by Thomas Yates, who we've been lucky to meet, and who works with Mark Schultz on the Prince Valiant comic strips.
There was a stunning original cover from Brothers of the Spear by George Wilson, and I know our friend Brian Mulvey would have loved to see it. Brian is also a fan of that series, and we're all fans of the amazing art of George Wilson, who is well known for comic covers from the 50s through the 1970s.
There was excellent original art by Dan Parsons and beautiful paintings by Richard Cox, who were both guests at the convention. And there were several stunning, detailed sketches by Australian artist Lily McDonald that we absolutely loved.
There were so many amazing works from album covers to storyboards and everything in between. It was terrific to browse through the art show.
As we mentioned, we went twice during the weekend, and if we had time, we would have probably gone back to the art show a third time. It was all amazing. And with that, we'll close out our discussion of ERB Con.
Of course, the best part of any convention is hanging out with friends, and we were lucky to spend time with several friends who are also fans of Burroughs stories, including Henry Franke of the Burroughs Bibliophiles, who we met at Heroes Con a couple of years ago. He is so friendly and kind every time we see him.
We also made a new friend, Dexter Heron, who is a Burroughs fan and has written several books himself. He was dressed as a steampunk Scotty from Star Trek one day. It was an excellent cosplay that we particularly liked, since we're Star Trek fans as well.
And we also got to hang out with our good friends Tom Greganis and Micah Harris. We're lucky to see them at regional conventions and even occasionally at the retro film series at our favorite local cinema, the Carolina Theater.
Micah bought the new trilogy collection of the Moon books at the convention, and we loved getting to flip through the books and see the many new illustrations, including some from our mutual friend Mark Schultz of Xenozoic Tales, who many will know as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
We want to thank all of our friends for spending time with us during the weekend, and we hope all of you have enjoyed hearing our thoughts about the convention.
If you're a fan like us, check out the Burroughs Bibliophiles at their website, on Facebook, and on YouTube to join a great community of fans.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll be right back with our wrap-up and contact information right after this.
For more than 60 years, Dr. Victor Von Doom has been portrayed in comic books as a villain. But one podcast has been brave enough to challenge this narrative and present the man as the misunderstood anti-hero he truly is. I'm Professor Allen, and the podcast is Doom Speak. On the show, we present a more balanced view of Marvel's most maligned monarch. Over the years, we've covered his adventures in titles such as Iron Man, Doom 2099, Astonishing Tales, Silver Sable, and occasionally the title dedicated to his most persistent antagonists, Fantastic Four. If you believe that there's more behind the man behind the mask than the fake news that Big Comic wants you to think, then Doom Speak may be the podcast for you. Doom Speak can be found on all major podcast platforms as a part of the Relatively Geeky network feed and at relativelygeekypodcast.blogspot.com. Give the show a listen. And hail Doom!
Before we go, we want to provide our contact information.
You can write to us directly at radadventuresnetwork@gmail.com or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky under the name Rad Adventures Network.
You can listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and most other podcast apps.
You can also find the show on YouTube as part of the Rad Adventures Network.
That's RAD, R-A-D, which is short for Ruth Ann Darren.
And you can always visit radadventuresnetwork.com, where you'll find all of the episodes of all of our podcasts, including our main shows, Trekker Talk, Warlord Worlds, and Xenozoic Xenophiles, as well as our other podcasts, including Sensational Sleuths, Super Secret Spies, Continental Comics, and more.
If you like the show, please consider leaving a review. While you won't find a specific place to review Convention Correspondents, we hope you'll leave a review under Rad Adventures Network. Every review helps the podcast be more likely to show up in search results.
And on YouTube, we hope you'll subscribe to the channel and give us some likes on the videos.
Thanks for listening, and we hope you'll come back next time for another new episode of Convention Correspondents.
Rad Adventures Network is a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network. For more information, please visit comicspodcast.com. The theme music is Typewriter Symphonic and is licensed from pod5.com. We make no money from this podcast and no copyright infringement is intended.